whatsoever. We put Robin Liddell in the car. That's no compromise.
No compromise, guys.
And as you heard,
magnificent stuff there from Robin Liddell, who leads from Patrick Long in second. He's about a second back in the Porsche of TRG Flying Lizards. Andy Lally took that early stop. Well, that's all been negated now.
Andy Lally's got ahead of Pat Long. In fact, they are now both going either side
of the
either side there of the BM. With the BM, the Turner Motorsport BM in fourth place, Joey had. But Robin Liddell. Now, Robin, a couple of facts here. First of all, you heard about the Montreal race last year in the Grand Am, where he didn't take wet tyres at all during the race, using his experience not only of the rain but also Pirelli. Robin has raced exclusively on Pirelli at least for the last decade. He knows their product inside out, and likewise their engineers him. Fantastic race. You've seen the BMWs, just to interrupt myself, moving up there into third place in front of both, maybe even second in front of both those Porsches. But the one thing, as we watch Sylvain Tremblay, the one thing that Camaro shouts to me is, you said it, Trans Am 1970s. In fact, I want it in Sunoco colours with at least David Donoghue behind the wheel, if not Mark Donoghue. It just screams that era of big, brutal muscle car racing.
That Pontiac GTO, the 21 car that they've just gone by, the white, red and blue car driven by Jim Priori, that's the car that Robbins looked like last year, and basically it's been rebodied. The bodywork does make a little bit of a difference. They had headlamp problems earlier on, but they are on. And there is a rumour, of course, that the Pony car is making a comeback for not only sports car racing with Grand Am, but also in the second level of racing for stock car racing in not the Nextel Cup, but one down from that, the Nationwide Series, to make a bigger differential. I want to see those cars on ovals.
I want to see them in the Sprint Cup. I don't want to see some amorphous blob. I want to see cars that have got separate grills and hoods and radiators and all of that look like the glory days of the 70s, and then we can start getting some proper old-fashioned sponsorship back on them. Does Piedmont Airlines still exist?
Fifth position for Tremblay in the first of the Mazdas, that the Speed Sport Mazda RX-8, fighting his way now through lap traffic. And now we've got a proper endurance motor race. Instead of everybody being on the same lap and have tooled around, we've now got people doing a bit of lappery, concentrating on the GTs. But Scott Dixon leads by 0.8 of a second from Max Angelelli, 0-2 from 10 from Mimo Gidley, and the 77, the Doran Racing Ford Dallara. So the Ford Dallara's in second and third at the head of the field.
But Johnny boy, we're an hour and a half in, but because we've had 3 full course cautions and long ones, actually we're only 2 laps in. An hour and a half of running, it's starting to get dry, and nobody's got a lap lead or half a lap lead. They're lucky to have half a second lead.
Last year, 51 changes of lead.
And again, this is the battle for 5th place. Scott Pruitt in the 0-1. Zonta around the outside of the 55 of, as we now know, not Scott Tucker, but Christophe Bouchou, the black car there. Bouchou getting boxed in. And Zonta, well, they raced against each other in the GT Championship.
Oh, he's gone off!
Oh! Bouchou was in a Viper, Zonta in a Mercedes, before Viper then moved down to GT2, having been whooped by the Mercedes and Porsche in GT1.
They were a road car, in fairness.
But nonetheless, they stepped up to play with the big dogs, and then they found out that in fact they had brought a puppy along instead.
Right, let's have a look. Look at the middle of the screen here, Martin, where everybody's scrapping behind the car with the blue front. There's a touch there, I think.
That's Osvaldo Negri, and that is the other of the Crown Royal cars, and that is Ryan Hunter-Reay's car, isn't it? So there's Oz Negri, the car on the right of your screen there. He was the leader early on, don't forget, right at the start. Clearly had great, very wet weather grip in that Riley chassis with its Ford engine.
On board with Bouchou again. And look at the rubbish on the screen there. I mean, he's got a wiper that's been cleaning, but it's not done anything. He's right up behind Zonta now, coming through the very fastest part of the circuit on the tri-oval, trying to go around the outside into turn 1. He tried this last time and outbraked himself, and he's almost done it again. And he has done it again.
The first time he did it, don't forget, there was a car facing backwards there, the number 2 car, wasn't there, when we saw that the last time from on board. But yeah, he's definitely having a go. But again, you see, the Lola, we think generally it's held that it is the most advanced chassis aerodynamically, which leaves it slightly at a deficit in top speed. We saw that Bouchou closing hand over fist, get into the braking area though, and suddenly they can't live with it. So again, different chassis, different balance of performance. That's what you got to have.
They look brand new. We're going to use them later. Hope God forbid we don't need them. But Crown Royal cars running great. 6 good. We're just trying to be cool. I haven't seen this kind of racing like this. It's a little crazy, but everybody seems to be settling down now. We are going to put slicks on, and that's going to be interesting in these conditions, at least the initial 2-3 laps.
Interesting for sure for the drivers. For Mike Shank, all he has to do is stand here in the dry.
It looked good. It looked good.
Well, he's the man at the top of the Michael Shank Racing team with their 2 cars, the 6 and the 60. There's been a turnaround in position there, Martin.
That's the lead battle. Max Angelelli's car is really coming on strong. The Dallara, the SunTrust Racing Ford engine Dallara, powering past leader Scott Dixon, just driving around him and staying there as well. So again, balance changing, and there you can see the 2 Crown Royal cars nose to tail now.
And here again on board with Bouchou, still behind Zonda. You can just about see that that's the bright green car. There's an irony, in Wayne Taylor being involved with Dallara, because he was the first Riley chassis to win this race 5 years ago. Oh, and Bouchou spun again. Or was that a replay at the same time?
No, he had to have done something for his teammate to be right behind him, didn't he? He had to have lost 2 or 3 places, and he did. So, yeah, he's now down in 9th, and Ryan Hunter-Reay in 10th. And that ticker on the top tells you that Max Angelelli now leads and is pulling away fast. Dixon's in trouble. It's not Angelelli that's going faster, it's Dixon that is reversing into the group for 3rd. Mimo Goodley, Scott Pruitt, Dixon's teammate with the blue nose, trying to go round the outside. This is a
Lost
really
a second and a half
favoured pass, and he's not picking it up. It wasn't a mistake, it's something more substantial than that.
I was just about to say the Dallara, the Dallara chassis, certainly the Wayne Taylor one, in particular the 10 car, the SunTrust machine, they started the run of wins for the Riley chassis here. 5 years it's always been a Riley. Now Wayne has moved over to Dallara. He's stayed with the Ford engine. Problems for the Ford engine yesterday. This is last year rather. This was a Roush Yates built engine, big 5-litre V8. As we've got Zonta now up into, is that 3rd position?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, look at that! That's fabulous stuff. They had crank sensor problems on the Fords last year. It was fixed, and it didn't reoccur throughout the whole of the rest of the season. But you've got to think, Martin, that those Ford runners coming back to 24 hours at the Speedway here are still going to have just a little niggling thought in the mind as we go back to the battle for the lead. And it's
no, this is battle for 3rd now, or for 2nd rather. Scott Dixon and his teammate Scott Pruitt just about to put the move on. Robin Liddell still leads Factory Patrick Long, Factory Porsche driver, in the GT class as we get ready for pit stops. Back live to the Rolex 24 at Daytona. Here is our former race leader. What's happened then? Down pit road? No, he hasn't come down pit road, Max Angelelli. Why has he?
He must have.
He must have. Is that the team that was shaping up then for a pit stop before we went on break? Yes, SunTrust, that's exactly who it was. Now, John, you thought that you saw wet weather tyres being readied for that car.
Yeah.
So Mad Max may well have taken wets. Seems he is still in the car as they sweep
down
around
in
the speedway banking.
19th position, Martin. 19th position.
So that's essentially the tail of the unlapped car. Here he is. Well, he's working his way through traffic already. Goes by the outside of the 75. And apologies again as Speed prepare to come back live on air in just a moment or two, showing you cloud overhead, but a little bit of lightness as well in the afternoon here in Daytona. Very wet infields.
Oh dear.
Yeah, well,
Boggy Creek.
I tell you, a few of those are going to need some trucks to pull them out, aren't they?
So we'll be back to the racing in just a moment, but it's Scott Pruitt that leads. This is the action from earlier on. And there's Craig Stanton losing his rear window. That's dropped him well down the GT field. Back on board now with Max Angelelli in the number 10 SunTrust car. There it is. And I'm pretty certain he's had a pit stop. Dropped down to 19th position.
That was the team. Definitely it was Wayne Taylor's team. 2 car back on pit road. Now, of course, they're 3 laps behind, so they may be needing fuel as well, or some more work after the incident.
Is it raining
time earlier on? Well, it's possible it might be raining. I want to see what lap times he's doing, because it might be a performance. Yeah, okay. He's a minute 2. He's doing a 2:02. Leaders are doing 1:56, so that is probably his outlap. Still, well, that's a SunTrust wet weather.
That was a puncture.
They shouldn't press like that, should they? They shouldn't be bouncing floppy. It's delaminated entirely. That's not the sort of thing that Pirelli engineers want people taking pictures of unless it's them. So he had a delaminating tyre, and that's why he came in.
Correct.